Hello, this is World University and Schools news and question and answer on Monday, March 2nd, 2020 at about 10 a.m. in the morning, Pacific time, San Francisco Bay Area time. Greetings, happy March, happy spring. I'd like to share with you a little bit about where the WUaS Corporation is heading, the WUaS Press, and much more, and partly from the minutes of open business meeting for World University and School, third Saturdays from February 15th, 2020. I'd also like to share with you, brainstorming-wise, some infrastructure thinking that might emerge from World University and Schools developing Wiki, and also brainstorming-wise with regard to even vaccine production to something like the CoronaVirus COVID19 recent development, mostly in the Wuhan area of China. So lastly, I'd also like to just touch on a little bit about how Wikidata works for integrating, for example, a new entity like the Europeana art museum data resources. So World University and School donated itself to Wikidata in 2015 for co-development and got our front-end wiki, WUaS Miraheza Media Wiki, in 2017. Miraheza Media Wiki is a little bit like the front end of Wikipedia, but World University and Schools, WUaS Miraheza Media Wiki, and our sort of access to the back-end structured knowledge database of Wikidata in 300 languages are not yet interoperable. And so I'd like to share a little bit about how Wikidata might work in accessing a whole new, seemingly vast set of Europeana resources and implications for how World University and School might engage Wikidata as well. So first, the minutes. World University and School, brainstorming-wise, is exploring the Pi cryptocurrency, Mine Pi. It's mineable by end users. It's a digital currency. It was made by Stanford PhDs. It's designed with blockchain ledger technologies. And where World University and School wants to build from this is with potential universal basic income experiments in planning to, World University and School planning to code for students in all 200 countries, official languages, and in all universitians, volunteer editors, contributors, teachers in all 7,111 known living languages. And then WUaS's plans to code for all 7.5 billion people on the planet, potentially with something like Wikidata PIN numbers, loosely related to Wikidata Q item numbers, but different. And this is all in a brainstorming vein in Wikidata's 300 languages. So the idea would be, with this off-the-shelf technology of the Pi cryptocurrency, and it's off the Google Play Store shelf, could people in particularly the poorest situations who might have smartphones still, even in their poverty, their need, and people in poor countries do have mobile phones. I've observed a little bit from traveling in Venezuela, for example. Could people then download this Pi application, this digital currency application, and if they are in poverty, begin to mine Pi and get financial resources for free, no strings attached, out of the Pi network. So that's the idea. And that's item A from the minutes for February 15th, 2020, the WUaS Corporation board meeting. And one of the interesting aspects of that is, you know, how the Pi cryptocurrency would work with central banks of some number of 200 countries. The euro currency is in 19 out of 28 countries. So in one form or another, it has a relationship, this so-called paper currency has a relationship with 19 central banks out of 28 through probably one European central bank. Where the Pi cryptocurrency might be different in these regards is how the Google Play Store and Google itself might be, let's call it, licensed in various countries. So I recently got an email from Google, which World University and School is in, about the British, the United Kingdom Google, which is a limited liability corporation, LLC. So that's sort of how Google is licensed in the British Isles in the UK. And UK, for example, does not seem to have a relationship with currency-wise with the rest of Europe. So were it possible for people in the British Isles, particularly, for example, poor people, to, with a smartphone, download the Pi application and then begin to mine it, could World University and School in some ways help facilitate universal basic income experiments in the British Isles with this kind of licensing LLC of Google in relationship perhaps to the British Isles, the UK's central bank, or England's central bank, since Scotland may have a different orientation to its monetary policy, its currency, if it became independent, and Ireland, I think, may have a different orientation to its currency legally than England, for example. So I'll post below this YouTube recording of this World University and School News and question and answer, the opportunity to look at some of these ideas further, see a video or two of how the Pi cryptocurrency works. And in planning for World University and Schools coding for 7.5 billion people on the planet, so students in all 200 countries' official languages, speakers of all 7,111 living languages, and then all 7.5 billion people. World University and School has 5 initial reasons that will be below the video as well. So that's item A. Item B, with relates to updating the WUA Press, the academic press at World University and Schools website, with a newly secure file transfer protocol port that makes it much more difficult to hack our website. So we're beginning to update our worlduniversityandschool.org website, worlduniversityandschool.org/academicpress.html webpage. Again, with this new secure FTP port, and recently have updated the fourth book in the WUaS Press, titled "To the Dance or the Pools?" ? Virtually! How different it is to soak at Harbin Hot Springs than to realize it in virtual reality. And you can check that book out on the Academic Press at World University and Schools webpage. There'll be other links below the YouTube recording of this video, live stream as well. Item C, the WUaS Corporation has filed the Statement of Information, the SI 100, or I think it's the SI 550 form with the state of California successfully. So the WUaS Corporation is a for-profit general stock company in the state of California and has a separate board and a separate named CEO from World University and School, which is MIT OpenCourseWare centric and wiki oriented and seeks to offer online, free to students, MIT OpenCourseWare centric Bachelor, PhD, law, medicine, and IB high school degrees. So the WUaS Corporation has filed its Statement of Information, the SI 550, and also as an aside, the World University and School has also filed its Statement of Information, the SI 100, with the state of California successfully. So those are, that's an important next step for the development of the WUaS Corporation. I think we've filed the SI 550 for 2 years in a row now. So we became incorporated as a for-profit general stock company in 2017, I think. Item D, the WUaS Corporation having just filed the SI 550, is seeking 4 further board members for a remarkable opportunity to grow the WUaS Press, the WUaS Corporation, into 200 countries and 7,111 known living languages. And in particular regarding 14 planned revenue streams. And you can see what those 14 planned revenue streams are, particularly for the WUaS Corporation, 10 planned revenue streams, beginning with an academic press, with online machine translation, machine learning relating to machine translation, think Google Translate, into printing to paper, brainstorming wise, and both online and on the ground bookstores, computer stores, robotics stores, hospital technologies stores as well in all 200 countries in their main languages. So that's a review of the minutes from our recent Open World University, the WUaS Corporation business meeting. For your information, for your engagement. I'd like now just to touch a little bit on the possibility of how infrastructure might work. So I'm moving on to the second item I'd like to share with you today after the WUaS Corporation minutes. And this is in a brainstorming fashion. One of the questions World University and School would like to explore is developing clinical trials online for speakers of all 7,111 living languages. So basic science and how could we engage potentially speakers in all 7,000 languages to get involved with clinical trials. Send packets through the mail, for example, and carry out scientific studies with people partly in front of their computer screens as they participated in these clinical trials and got them physical materials through the mail and contributed their results and findings potentially online, as well as returning something through the mail, possibly. And in that World University and School is seeking to plan for not only speakers of 7,000 languages, but all 7.5 billion people. Would it be possible to, and in what ways could World University and School develop infrastructure online to develop a vaccine for coronavirus COVID-19, this recent virus which has killed more than 3,000 people, mostly in the Wuhan, China area, but a few in other parts of the world as well. And in a timely way, many organizations are working on this, but where World University and School, brainstorming-wise, would like to head is into a realistic virtual Earth for genetics, for genes, for CRISPR, the gene editing technologies, snip out a line of DNA or code, genetic code at the molecular level, at the cellular level, I think, and then snip in a line of code is potentially what CRISPR technologies can offer in part. So in that World University and School is seeking to be in all 200 countries and in their official and main languages, and in this realistic virtual Earth, a single realistic virtual Earth for STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, would it be possible to, with various kinds of genetic testing for the coronavirus COVID-19 in the field, in different parts of the world, on the ground, translate that information that testing areas, testing places got genetic material from people who were testing to see if they had coronavirus COVID-19, transfer that information, that physical information, that genetic information of whether they had the virus, this particular strain of virus or not, into a realistic virtual Earth, and then further even into Google Poly, which is a library of virtual objects. So you could have the cells, or which at the cellular level scale, or even the DNA at the molecular level, represented in Google Poly simulations of the coronavirus COVID-19, and potentially in these Google Poly simulations of people's actual genetic material, some of whom might have the coronavirus, some might not, begin to snip out lines of code, snip in lines of code in this realistic virtual Earth. And then potentially transfer it back to them, or snip in lines of code which might have the vaccine a successful vaccine. Developing the successful vaccine is a long and very involved process. But the idea would be, brainstorming-wise further, that people would come into the clinic or into a drive-through testing center. I've seen one in South Korea, people getting their genetic material tested by simply driving in to a drive-through testing center and getting their genetic material taken by healthcare workers, and on the spot, potentially, I think, getting results back. It appeared in the video that that was the case. It might take longer than that. So in what ways would it be possible even to transfer that genetic material in the South Korean drive-through coronavirus testing place, through a smartphone, possibly, potentially, into a single realistic virtual Earth? Think Google Street View with time slider, Google Maps, Google Earth at the cellular and atomic levels, and even into avatar bot electronic medical records for those 69,000 South Koreans, the approximately 3,800 people I've read who've been tested in the United States, and also in China, in the Wuhan area, to as the testing's been carried out in the Wuhan area, and for the people who've passed away, to get their genetic material into avatar bot electronic medical records, both for vaccine development in a realistic virtual Earth for CRISPR in Google Poly, but also for those potentially who might be infected, who haven't passed away, and even develop a vaccine in very short order. This is indeed a tall order, but it points to how world university and schools infrastructure might, with time, be able to approach vaccine development in a very, very new way. And also for all 200 countries, and also potentially for all 7.5 billion people. The challenge with something like the coronavirus COVID-19 and its strain that's killed more than 3,000 people, potentially is that the mutation that created this virus and then sort of stabilized happened rather quickly, and no vaccine was available. We have to develop the vaccines for this, and new viruses can come along, new strains of viruses. It's when there's no response to such viruses, and the viruses, infect people in many countries and are lethal in many countries in much greater numbers, that the situation becomes potentially horrific. And so how would, both pharmaceutical companies, but also world university and school develop a successful vaccine very, very quickly? So I'll leave it there. I'll post much more about this idea in the area below the YouTube video that comes out of this World University and School, the WUaS Corporation news and question and answer here today, March 2nd, 2020. And the last thing is just how Europeana Museum of Digital Objects, representations of images of art, might interface with Wikidata. And in brief, the idea is Europeana digital museum objects, all of them, and I think their databases are enormous, have independent, separate IDs. Every representation of the Mona Lisa that Europeana might have would have a separate ID. And these need to map into Wikidata's structured knowledge database, where you might have a statement or a Wikidata Q item number for a single Mona Lisa Q item number with multiple Wikidata IDs for all the representations of Mona Lisa that Europeana might bring to Wikidata, in a sense, as Wikidata incorporates Europeana. And the mapping between the Europeana IDs, unique IDs for all its representations, does not correspond directly to the Wikidata ID system. And as this develops, it then becomes possible to approach Wikidata with, for example, querying, structured query language, SQL, to begin to ask questions of data as it's newly construed in the Wikidata structured knowledge database in a way that is more structured than Europeana having unique IDs for every single object in its collections and unique IDs for example, the Mona Lisa painting. So I think that's the idea that World University and School also can begin to develop with in relationship to as we begin to generate lots of data that would then articulate with Wikidata. So for example, with the coronavirus, what happens if testing of individuals and their genetic material could be translated into Google Poly's library of virtual objects, and would every patient or subject who got tested with a Wikidata PIN number at World University and School have their coronavirus testing positive, if they had coronavirus COVID-19 at the cellular atomic level, would each of those have an ID that would be part of the coronavirus COVID-19? It has a new name now, I think, as our scientific knowledge grows, in Wikidata. And could all of that be all of the testing data from 69,000 people in South Korea, some of whom may have had coronavirus COVID-19, not sure, and the many people in the Wuhan area. There's been an enormous amount of recovery. Some 80,000 plus people have tested positive for coronavirus COVID-19, and more than around 40,000 have recovered. So if they have tested positive for, they did test positive for the coronavirus COVID-19, could that be translated into Google Poly virtual objects and in Wikidata queried upon, and also help to further research, even in something like a realistic virtual Earth, that would all have potentially a World University and School ID for the patients or the subjects and their electronic medical records, planning for all 7.5 billion people, and also where the coronavirus ID itself for the individuals who had it could relate to a single Wikidata Q item for coronavirus COVID-19. And make querying and further research much easier and better and more straightforward. So that's the third item I wanted to share with you today. And I think come to a close here. It's Monday, March 2nd, 2020. I'll post some of these resources below this video recording that gets made in YouTube. Please join us if you'd like to. I think we have an option now in the future to just potentially have 2 people in this light stream to live stream group video. So let's have a conversation. info@worlduniversityandschool.org if you'd like to participate. And to see the conversation, WS News question and answer, you can go to youtube.com/worlduniv and SCH, WORLDUNIVANDSCH. Similarly with Twitter, twitter.com/WORLDUNIVANDSCH for further related posts. Next week, same time, same place, March 9th, 2020, 10 a.m. Pacific time. info@worlduniversityandschool.org is our website, is our email address, and the website is similar, worlduniversityandschool.org. I'm Scott McLeod. March 2nd, 2020. This is World University and Schools news and question and answer today, focusing much on the WUaS Corp and Press. Till next time, bye for now.